Good morning, everybody. We will give just a minute or two for everybody to join and log in, and then we will get started. All right, we will go ahead and get started. My name is Macy Brink, and I am with the IT company. I did send an email to everybody this morning addressing this, but just want to reiterate one more time. So we had lines crossed in terms of what we were covering today. We were intending to cover Claude, but our trainer, Joe Lynn, actually prepared for Copilot. And so we did not want to cancel on you guys, and we also wanted to make sure that the content was up to the standard that everybody deserved. And so we decided to roll forward with covering some of the new stuff within Copilot, and then we are going to reschedule and cover Claude probably next week or the week following that. So again, our sincerest apologies, but we hope that you will stay on. And Jolyn has tons of information and tons of insight on Copilot today. But also, if you are disappointed by that and ready to hop off, we totally understand that too. And we will send you an invite for when we cover Claude. So again, our apologies. And I know Jolyn feels terrible about it. So I'll let her, she's going to dive in. But it was just a slight miscommunication, but we are excited to share some stuff about Copilot with you this morning.
So, welcome everyone, and I do apologize for the, you know, miscommunication. It was me, not anything to do with the IT company, just so you're aware. But before we dive in, and I'm super excited to talk to you about Copilot today, but just a couple of housekeeping things. If you do have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We'll address those as we go, or we'll have time at the end as well. You can use the Q&A or the chat, however it is that you want. And just so everybody knows, we are recording this session here today. So when it comes to our topic here today of using Microsoft Copilot, I think I've had this on my mind, which is how I forgot that we were supposed to be doing Claude today because there's been so many things that have happened with Copilot over the past month. And I was just telling Macy that there was actually a change to Copilot this morning already. So I gotta tell you, I've got shivers. I am super excited to actually be telling you about these because I think you're going to probably discover the same things I did. And it's like, oh my gosh, what happened to my Copilot? Where did it actually go? Now, I do want to start today by using the Copilot app online because there's been some major changes with that. There's major changes with the actual structure of how Copilot actually works. So when we talk about using Copilot, now we can think beyond asking Copilot a question. Because, in the past, the way that we used Copilot was we would go in, we would ask it something, and it would give us a summary back of whatever it is we asked. It didn't really have any interaction that it could technically do. The world of that has totally changed. Even within the past couple of weeks, there's been some major structure changes in the background of how Copilot works. So I'll show you that with demonstrations, but starting with the user interface. So as soon as you log in to your Microsoft account online, you have a totally new menu. So this is the new menu. So you go to office.com or you go to the new URL, it has totally changed. You will find that on the left-hand side, you still have your navigation pane, but they moved how you access your apps. So you know how you can go in and you can open up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever you need? Well, you don't do it by going to the bottom left and trying to hunt through your menu to find the apps. They now have it conveniently located at the top left with the apps launcher, like it used to have a while ago. Macy, do we have a question? Oop, you're wait.
Yes, I was going to say, everybody, there is the handout. I put it into the chat. So if you are
Okay.
looking for that, the handout is in the chat. So if she is referring back to something, you can access it through that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So at the top left, you're going to find the new apps launcher, just like we used to have in a previous version of your Microsoft Start menu for Office.com. So when you click on it, though, what's going to be a little bit different than how we saw it previously was it's going to have two icons at the top. One is called Create, one is called Notebooks. Those are directly related to working inside Copilot. Then you're going to have access to all your normal apps. If you don't see the application that you want to open, all you have to do is click on More Apps, and that will automatically open up this menu that will give you access to everything that you have rights to in your Microsoft account. Okay, so a little bit different than what it was like a few weeks ago. So this is actually a change that just came within the last 14 days, basically. But it's kind of taking us back to the way that it used to be, which is great. Microsoft is, I believe, this is my personal opinion, they are starting to really have this be more user friendly for everyone, more consistent across the board. But let me back up because when I clicked on that apps launcher, there was two options that are Copilot related. And since our topic today is Copilot, I want to click on create because this is actually a super easy way for you to take advantage of some features that are built into Copilot now. So if you wanted to create an image, you can actually come in and describe what you want to do. Macy, did we have a question?
Yes, we had somebody say that they're getting a really bad echo. So I just wanted to make sure if anybody else is having it, if you wouldn't mind to send me a message and we can try to figure it out if it's one person or
Yeah.
if it's everybody.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good to know for sure. So when it comes to using this create, if you want to create an image, you want to create a PowerPoint, you want to create a new video, you now have access to the tools that will help you to do that. You just describe what it is that you want to create, and it's going to automatically create it directly from here. But I'm not going to do a demonstration on that here today. That's something that I'm going to highly recommend you come back and play with because there's so many other things that I think you're going to use on a daily basis. So I open up Copilot app at the beginning of my day and I never close it. It stays open for me all the time because I'm using it so much. So back to the changes that we have in Copilot. If you are creating a new chat, it's still called a chat. We're still doing prompts to talk to the system. But the way that you're talking to it is, we're not just asking it a question. We can actually delegate what Copilot does. So instead of just saying, what's the latest information on this, or how do I do this in Excel? Copilot can actually physically make changes. So it has built-in capabilities now that it is agentic, where it is going to physically do the work for us now. So when we've been talking about Copilot being your assistant and then agents being an assistant to Copilot, which I'll get to agents here as well, the concept of that has blown up. It is so much better than it's ever been before. So it is a true assistant. So let's say that you're the manager of the HR department and you need to have a new Excel workbook created that is going to help you create a way to track all new employees. You could actually have Copilot create that for you by just describing what it is you want it to create. Now, could it do that before? Not really. We could go into Excel, use Copilot, but it could not create a new workbook and structure it that way. We can do that now here in Copilot, but it can do so much more than that. Because let's say that I go to my assistant, I'm the HR manager. I go to my assistant and I say, Okay, I also am going to need a letter to be able to send to all of the new employees based on this information. So I need this spreadsheet. I need this letter that is going to be sent to all new employees. Oh, and by the way, I also need you to create an email that we're going to be able to send to all the managers to let them know that we have this new employee that's going to be starting. That's three different things that we would in the past have to manually create ourselves. So, yes, we could go to Outlook and say, help me write this. I could go to Microsoft Word and say, help me write this. I could go to Excel and say, help me create this. But Copilot can actually do all of those at one time. It has now really become your assistant. So, whatever it is that you would say to a person, you can say to Copilot. There is, of course, a Microsoft microphone, I should say, that you could just directly talk to it and it can do it, or you can type it in. Now, when you look at the user interface here in Copilot, before I do a demonstration of this, there's changes to your user interface. Right away in the middle, you're going to see this has changed. Where you go to actually chat with the system, that has totally changed. So it says, hi, try asking me what's next on your calendar. It's giving you a suggested prompt. You would go to the message Copilot and type it in like you normally would. But notice down at the bottom, it says files, emails, people, meetings, and then it's got this menu. If I click on files, it gives me suggested prompts related to working with a file. If I click emails, it gives me suggested prompts related to working with emails. If I click people, it gives me suggested prompts related to people. So these are going to be additional, more personalized suggested prompts that you can start with. Because the integration that we have when you're using a Copilot license through Microsoft, you have that full connectivity to all of your 365 apps. Now, where it has also changed on this user interface is looking at the top left of the chat window. It says Work IQ. Remember back in Copilot a couple weeks ago? Seriously, it has just changed. There used to be two icons at the top middle. It said Work Web. We no longer have that. It is now called Work IQ. And if you want to, and so what that basically means is that it's always connected to your 365 account. Now, if for some reason you do not see that yet, Microsoft is still releasing some of this. So it might be a few days or it might be a week, depending on when your organization sends them out, or if you have them automatic, they're still sending these out. So if it's not there yet, it will be very shortly. But if you want to just search the internet, you click that Work IQ icon, it crosses it off, and now you're searching the web. Click it again, it brings you back to working within your 365 account. And where else Microsoft Copilot has changed is the memory capabilities. Now, just a side note before I say this, but when we talk about it accessing your 365 account, don't be afraid of the security side of it. It doesn't leave your Microsoft security. So there's nothing being leaked to anything else. It is all secure within your organization. So you only can ask it to do things based on what you have permissions for. So if we're having it work on a file that is in SharePoint, it can't go to a SharePoint document library that you don't have rights to. So it can only work within your personal permissions because you're logged in as your Microsoft account. Okay, just so you know that. But let me demonstrate how this works now so that you can actually see the power behind this. So I know that what I do is different than what you guys do, um, but it memorizes what it is you do. So when you ask it something, like this morning, because I messed up on the Claude, I went in and said, I'm teaching a 1 hour Claude intro class. What should I cover? It knows that I'm an instructor. So it automatically can respond because it understands that and it knows that it was an hour. So there's things that it understands without me having to tell it. But let's say that I'm an HR manager and I want to delegate to Copilot what needs to be done. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to type this all in. So I'm going to say, create a new Word doc that will be a letter to send to our new employees for the ABC company and create a new workbook in Excel to track all new employees and create an email that I can send to upper management, letting them know about the new employees. Now, in the past, that would have been three separate chats, technically related, but three different things. Copilot now is so smart that I just click send and it can do all of those at one time. It's going to give you a link to physically open the files that it created. But unfortunately, as of today, hopefully improved by the end of this year, it can't go to Outlook and say create a new email. It will give me the email that I will still need to copy and paste, but at least it's giving me all of this at one time. Because you know how you're thinking of, oh, I got to do this, this, and this? Let Copilot do all this, this, and this. It can do it all at one time, just like that. So anyway, you could see that I can download the welcome letter. I can download the employee tracker. So let me click on these links to show you what exactly is it creating. So I'll go ahead and open that file. Sorry, it opened it on my other screen. So here's that welcome to ABC company, dear new employee, etc., etc. Let me show you the Excel file that it created. Oops, sorry. Let me open that. So here's the new Excel file that it gave me created already. So it is very smart on what it actually can produce. So here's the email to upper management. But as I said, the email I would have to copy and paste. But that's not that big of a deal. I can really just select it, copy it. I can go to Outlook and I could paste it. So if I come here into Outlook and I say I want to create a new email, let me maximize that. I just come in and I paste that. And I could still be using Copilot, of course, in Outlook. And while I'm here in Outlook, let me show you some changes here to Copilot. So a couple of the things that have changed here in Copilot is the fact that, yes, we do have the capability of saying, I want to summarize this email that I'm on. But the way that it's doing things is a little bit different than it was even a month ago or 3 weeks ago. So you could go to your Copilot at the top right, like we did before. So when you click on the Copilot icon, oh, as a matter of fact, when you just, let me close it real quick. When you just hesitate on the icon, it gives you suggested prompts like help me write an email, find recipients for my email, support my statement. It has access to suggested prompts. So the window itself has changed a little bit. It doesn't give you the coaching and that kind of drop down that it used to. But when you click on Copilot and open it, it is automatically using an agent where it can actively do the work for you. So you could see that right now it says, what do you want this email to say? So I could say, help me write this email, find recipients, support my statement. Now I already have an email started and I'm going to say, review this email for leadership. And it will automatically go ahead and do that for me. So it's taking a look at the email that I actively am on. but I could be on an existing email and still have it summarize it, help me write a reply, or I can have it do whatever it is that I need it to do. And I can be doing all this right within Outlook. But do I always use Outlook capabilities directly in Outlook? I do when I'm writing a new email or writing a response. I'm using Copilot just like I did before. And it does have that intelligence of remembering things that I had done in the past. That part of that is great. But I'm going to jump back in a minute, back to the Copilot app and demonstrate some things on email. Now, before I do that, though, let me maximize this window a little bit. So you could see that it's working on a professional response, etc. Here's some examples. So it's doing its work. But let me show you some things that are new that we really never had the capability of having before. I'm actually going to go to the calendar real quick. So in the Outlook calendar, let's say that you have a meeting coming up. I have this meeting this afternoon. It's on this Access database information. And when I open up that appointment, I'm going to close my Copilot window here. When I open up that meeting, that event that I have going on, you will be prompted at the very top for preparing for that meeting. So you can see that it says prepare for this meeting. So Copilot is actively available when you are going to access a previous meeting that you created. So what it is actually doing is searching my files, my emails, my chats, my channels, everything in my 365 account related to what the subject is and the content of this meeting. So you can see that it gives me suggested actions, help me with talking points, identify concerns, what will be covered, etc. So I can actually go into any of these suggested prompts to help me prepare for that meeting. So it scans through everything and it can come back and say, hey, I found this information to help you prepare. So it is so much more intelligent on diving deeper into your Microsoft 365 account to be a true assistant to you. Now, I'm going to go back to email because what if I have an email? Like I have this email from this person, Sydney, and what if I actually wanted to create a new meeting with that person? And we've had this conversation going back and forth via email. We've had this in the past, but not like we do today. We can schedule a meeting with whoever you're emailing. We've been able to do that for years now, but now we can do it with Copilot interactively doing it for us. Let me show you. If I go to schedule with Copilot on the home tab of the ribbon, it opens up this new meeting window. And what it is doing is scanning the contents of the email chat and saying, here's agenda items that you would most likely want to cover during that meeting. So it automatically is anticipating based on the content of the email what you would want to be covering during that meeting. And it has more intelligence on scanning through your 365 for related files as well. Now, unfortunately, I can't demonstrate all of that today in our short 1 hour because there's so many other things that are new that we need to get to. But just so you know, it has this built-in capability of doing that. Now, I'm not really going to create that right at this moment, so I'll discard that. But the typical summarization is still available. So if I want to summarize an email that I'm on with Copilot, you go to the right-hand side of the reading pane, excuse me, click on Summarize by Copilot, and it's going to actively do that like it did before. But the way that it's analyzing it now is a much deeper analysis than it's ever done before. And we can take it further by clicking on Ask Copilot to ask it additional details. But I won't go through all that today. Just kind of play with this today and, see these new features and these new ways that Copilot is diving deeper. But otherwise, it's It's just a matter of saying, okay, Copilot, this is what I need. Go ahead and do it for me. Now, I'm going to actually leave Outlook and come back here to this chat that I was doing back in the Copilot app. So I was saying, create all these things. Let me actually do a new chat. And I want Copilot to actually let me know what should be on my radar today. What should I be working on today? Because it's the beginning of the day and I don't know, what I have to go look for my task? Do I have to go look for my emails? What should I be working on? What should be on my radar for today based on meetings, emails, chats, channels, files, etc. I can just ask Copilot to let me know that. What I used to do in the past was go back to Outlook and start looking. I need to look for my tasks. I need to look for my appointments. I need to look through my emails. And did I flag any emails from before, or do I have new things that came in? I had to do a lot of research to manually figure that all out. The way that Copilot now reads through your email, your whole environment of your 365 is unbelievable. It can save you hours of time throughout the day using all of your different Copilot apps. Now, some of the features are only available so far in specific applications, mainly Word, PowerPoint, and Excel with some capabilities. But by the end of the year, some of the capabilities I'm going to demonstrate in a moment are available across the board. So here it came back saying top priorities, your live scheduled events, calendars, your midday priorities, your emails and operations. It took a deeper dive. And by the way, look at what it's doing. It's giving you links to everything that you need. It is just crazy the different things that it can actually do. So let me go back to another application and do a couple more demonstrations. So I could spend all day just here in the Copilot app itself because there's so many cool things that we could do, but I want to demonstrate similar to what I just did on this what should be on my radar for today. I'm going to actually go to Microsoft Word for a minute. So let me go to Microsoft Word and I'm going to actually create a new document. I'm going to maximize this window a little bit more just so you can see this a little bit better. Now I could go straight to describe what I'd like to draft with Copilot up at the top. Super convenient. So I'm going to say what should be on my radar for today based on meetings, emails. I'm going to put in tasks, etc. And I'm going to say write this formatted as a table and prioritize. Oops. So I'm just going to try that and see what it will do for me. Microsoft Word, yes, I'm in Microsoft Word, but I wanted to create something directly here in Word that I can kind of analyze. I don't want to keep it in Copilot. Maybe I wanted it in Microsoft Word, or maybe I'm going to use it for something else in Microsoft Word. It can actually go out to my Outlook, my tasks, wherever, and analyze that data. I don't have to be in Outlook or I don't have to be in the Copilot app to do that. I can do that directly here through Microsoft Word. Now, the other thing that you need to be aware of here in Microsoft Word, and by the way, it did it. So it analyzed my results. It told me on the right-hand side, this is what it came back with. It gave it to me in a table, and then it said suggested order of focus. So I asked it to prioritize it. So it gave me that. I'm going to click done to accept what it gave me. But the thing about using Microsoft Word now is I'm going to go ahead and close my Copilot on the right-hand side. A couple of weeks ago, I lost my Copilot. I have been telling everybody anytime you want to use Copilot in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, go to the Home tab of the ribbon. Well, it's no longer on the Home tab of the ribbon. Microsoft got smart and moved it because what if I were on the View tab of the ribbon? I'd have to go back to the Home tab to get to Copilot. Not anymore. Notice my Copilot icon is a floating icon on the bottom right of the window. That's going to be consistent across all of your apps, but as of right now, it's only in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So no longer on the Home tab, it's a floating icon available to you all the time. When you hesitate on the icon, it's going to give you suggested prompts, just like I showed you a moment ago in Outlook. Hesitate gives you your suggested prompts. If you want to use it, you click on the icon. It will automatically open the pane of Copilot just like it did before. But the thing that you need to understand that it is doing is it is automatically using an agent I'm sorry, not released to everybody in Outlook yet, but by default in Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, it is using what is called an agent mode. So what that means to us, and I'm just going to start a new chat by clicking on the icon at the top of the Copilot. It says, let's edit your document. And where right above the chat, it says allow editing. That means that it can physically make changes to your document. So if I wanted to do formatting, I wanted to add information, whatever the case might be, it can do that. So what I'm going to actually tell it to do is at the end of this doc, add a table with links to all recent files from today and the upcoming meetings for the rest of the week. Now, let's say that I had this Word document and I was asking it to, go out to my 365 account and find anything that is related to project issues because I need to send out a report to the executive committee about what's going on with safety or whatever your topic might be. Tell Copilot to do that. Tell it how you want to structure it within your document. And I have had it add an appendix at the end that is going to give me all the property information of where the resource came, the reference of everything came from. A link to the file, a link to the task, a link to whatever. It can do all of that. It can update your document. So let's say that I have a template and I'm going to click done and show you what exactly did it do. So here's the recent files and upcoming meetings. It didn't give me my physical link. It gave me the names of the files, but it didn't give me a link for whatever reason. Normally it would, but for whatever, I'm not sure, but I won't worry about that right at the moment. But I have it go out and create things based on outside of the current app I'm in all the time. Now, if I want to reference a specific file, I can also do that. As a matter of fact, let me actually go back to Copilot, my app online, and I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to attach an Excel file. So I'm going to click on the plus like we always did before. I'm going to say upload image or file, and I'm going to use this Excel Copilot spreadsheet. Oops, I have it opened. Sorry, I got to close it first. It doesn't like us trying to use it when it's already open. So I'm going to now open it so that it's a part of my Copilot chat. And what I wanted to do is to I'm going to say create an executive summary based on the Excel worksheet called orders. So I have a worksheet in this workbook called orders, and I wanted to create an executive summary as a new Word doc. So I'm telling it the type of file I want it to create. So I can be here in the Copilot app and tell it to do that. But what if this is something that I'm going to do on a regular basis? And the information is going to be updated on a regular basis. I can have this Word document created as a template, which, by the way, I could have said put placeholders in this document. Create a Word template with placeholders for the information. I could have told it to do that. And then every time I need to have this updated, like once a week, I have to send a new summary of what's going on with our safety training or our hiring of our new employees or our production, whatever the case might be. You could have it as a template and have Copilot fill it all in. Just tell it to reference this workbook that includes all the details, and it can automatically populate it in your Word document. Or if you don't have it saved as a template with the placeholders, that's okay also, because we can have it go ahead and update it anyway. So it's automatically creating this Word document as we speak, which, by the way, by default, it's doing a deep dive into taking that Excel file and analyzing the results. It is thousands of records of information, so it is taking a moment for it to generate it, but in a second it will be done. So let me show you. I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word here. Let me kind of close some of these. I've got so many different files open here. I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word here. And I had this information that it had automatically populated. But if that information changes, like I go out to my calendar and I add new things in, I could come back into Copilot and say, update this with the current information. And it can go out to your system and automatically update it. And it's going to look, because it understands that we were already talking about going out to my tasks and my meetings and my emails. It's just going to automatically look for anything that's updated, whether the dates were changed, the subjects were changed, anything new was added, and it's going to automatically update it. So I want to go back now and show you that. Oh, it's not done just yet. But when this gets done, I'm going to actually go to the Excel spreadsheet, and let me open that back up. I'm going to go back to that Excel. I'm going to reopen that file. Even though it's still thinking, I'm going to go ahead and do this here real quick. Once again, I'm in Excel, and it is showing you on the bottom right, I have my Copilot icon. So consistent with Word, PowerPoint, etc. And it's asking me, here's my suggested prompts that I could click on, or if I wanted to open the Copilot window, I can. But before I do that, I'm actually going to make some changes to this information. So let's say that I had some quantity changes on some of this information. I had some price structure changes. Whatever changes it is that you come out and make, it can be updated very quickly and very easily. I could come out and I could say, I want this to be 6/1/26. This was actually an order that was placed on 12/31/25. I can come out and anybody can be in here live making these changes, but I have that Word document that I'm going to send out. Now, before I physically go to send it, I'm going to want it to make sure that it is updated with all the current information. So I can actually have Copilot do that. So first, let me go back here and I'm going to open up this executive summary orders. So here's that actual document. I'm going to say enable. And then here it's coming back with my insights. So the data set contains 521 unique orders from 63 customers, blah, blah, blah. It's giving me a rundown. Well, if you take a look at the total sales, let's see if that changes when I go to update this. So first off, I'm going to make sure that this is saved to the cloud, because it does have to be saved to the cloud for it to automatically be able to be updated. So I'm going to go ahead and get this saved because everything is based on cloud, SharePoint document libraries, your OneDrive. So I have this executive order, and let's actually say here in Copilot, I actually wanted to make it more of a table structure. So let me kind of maximize this window here a little bit so you could see this a little bit better. By the way, it auto hides the Copilot icon, so you don't have to see it all the time. Just go to the little line at the bottom right, click on it, and I'm going to say, organize this into tables for the structure and some paragraphs of descriptions. just to give you an idea, because I'm using agent mode automatically in Microsoft Word, it will physically make the changes for me. I'm not just asking it how to do it anymore. Copilot is 100% changed. Used to give you just on the right-hand side in Copilot, it would tell you how to do it. Now it is physically doing it for you. So you could see it's automatically changing my document. And I can say done if I want it to complete it, or I could say undo and put it back. I could also go back to Copilot and say undo this part of it and keep the rest. It's all up to you how you want it to structure things. So, anyway, just so you could see, it now has that information, and that's all being saved back to my cloud. But remember, I was actually using, oops, let me give it a second here. I was trying to do too many things and it says, wait a second, I'm not done doing things yet. So anyway, I'm going to have that Excel file, that people have been going out there and updating. But, now I have to have this to my boss or to the leadership group by noon. And I need to make sure that everything has been updated and that the file that I'm going to be sending has also been updated. I'm just going to see if I can just close that and reopen it here real quick. Sorry about that. But I'll just go ahead and reopen that. I don't know why it didn't like that all of a sudden, but let me get that reopened here. So let me maximize this back out. I'm going to close that file. I'll just maximize this back out. So this is the one that it was just doing, just so you know. And I did those changes. So back here in this worksheet, I did all these changes, and let's say that this was actually up to 120. This one changed to $15. All these changes are being made, and I need that Word document to now be updated. I'm going to go ahead and close this Excel file. Oops, I'm going to close this one as well. And I'm going to tell Copilot that I need to get the updated information. So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and I'm going to access that Excel file so it knows what to reference exactly. And then I'm going to say update all information with the attached spreadsheet. I'm just going to say, go ahead and update the information with the attached spreadsheet. It's going to run through the document. It analyzes the spreadsheet, analyzes the Word document, and it will go and add in all the updated information that it needs to have. So you can see how it's highlighting as it's going through and making these adjustments. Okay, so it is looking at that Excel file and making these adjustments automatically within my document. We don't have to do that anymore. It is automatically doing that for us, which is absolutely fantastic that it can do that. But let me go back to Excel again. And let's say that I have that same workbook, this workbook here with these company orders, which is what I was having it base that Word document on. And let's say that I now needed to do some more analysis. I needed to actually go out and analyze more information. I can do things directly here within Excel. I don't have to go to Copilot app. I don't have to be doing everything in Microsoft Word. I can do things here as well. So like I said, we have the Copilot app at the bottom right of the screen is a floating icon so you can access it from anywhere. And what I'm going to actually tell it to do is I'm going to start a new chat, and it is using agent mode by default. I know that because it says allow editing. Now, I didn't really explain exactly what the agent is. An agent is a built-in assistant to Copilot. And by default, Microsoft is implementing these directly within the Copilot app, inside your apps, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Microsoft Word. Macy, let me get your question here before I demonstrate this.
Yeah, somebody is asking, they said that they have the basic Copilot. Do they need to upgrade for all of these features?
Yes, they do. I'm so glad that was brought up because these are based on the license. And there is a free version of Copilot, but it cannot do all the things that I'm demonstrating here today. Today, the demonstrations are based on having the actual license. Um, so anyway, just so you could see what it can now do with this built-in agent, it can physically do the changes. Now, back in Copilot a few months ago, we could say, summarize this worksheet. Well, that's pretty simple, right? Summarize this worksheet. I'm going to do that same thing with the latest updates to Copilot. So it's going to run out here and it's going to analyze all the information that I have here on this spreadsheet for this worksheet that I happen to be on. Now, of course, if I wanted it to look at other information or look at the entire workbook, I could tell it to do that as well. Because what if this is all related to inventory. And I have different worksheets with different inventory information, and I need to get a summary of the whole entire workbook. It could do that. Now, I'm going to do a couple of demonstrations with this because I am just shocked at what it can do now. Everything used to be more manual. It would come back and it would say, here's your summary, but it wouldn't really actively do anything with it. It just gave you the summary. You're going to see in a moment when it gets done that it's going to actually make changes to my workbook, not just give me the summary. It's going to still tell me the summary on the right. It's doing this deep reasoning, by the way. This built-in agent is extremely intelligent and it's automatically doing analysis for us. So this agent was built specifically to work in Excel. It's not just a generic agent that is assisting Copilot. It is analyzing your data, doing a deeper reasoning. So anyway, I'll wait for it to get done here, but while I'm waiting for it, I want to not waste any time here and I want to show you a couple of other things here real quick. So I'm going to go to PowerPoint and I'm going to actually close PowerPoint and just reopen it because it has changed. So this is a brand new, I closed PowerPoint, I reopened it, and this is what it looks like now. You don't open PowerPoint, start a new presentation. You can use Copilot to create your presentation right here, right on the start menu now. This has just changed over the past week. So right at the top, it says get started by describing the presentation, attached files, etc. So if I want to create a presentation based on a specific file or anything, if I want to base it on a file, I click the plus sign. And maybe I want to do it based on this executive orders. And so I want to create a presentation based on this file for executive leaders. Now, Excel is coming back, but I'll finish this here in PowerPoint here real quick. It's not just going to create it like it did before. It now comes back and gives you a wizard to ask questions before it creates it. So first it's going to analyze the document that I attached. Then it's going to come back and it's going to ask things like, well, how many slides do you want? And if I were using things like heading ones, heading twos, I could say only create slides based on heading ones, heading twos, that kind of a thing. So it comes back with, do you have a specific color format that you want me to follow? Whatever the case might be. So here it's coming back and it says, keep it qualitative or quantitative, add illustration figures. So I'm basically going through this little wizard answering questions for it. Then do I want it to be short? Do I want it to be 6 slides? So it is really getting a better confirmation. So it's a one-time deal with creating this presentation instead of us having to go back and it created 50 slides and now I have to go back and make all these changes and change the theme and whatever. We don't have to do that anymore. That can all be done automatically because it's got the built-in agent, and that agent is built specifically for PowerPoint, and it's doing all this work for us in the background. So while it's actually doing this, I'm sorry, it came back and now it's asking me the questions about the color. So I'm going to say use this color. So I'm going to confirm that that's what I want it to use. So while it's doing that, let me kind of close that here and I'm back to Excel. So basically, you could see that it's doing the reasoning over on the right-hand side. It's not 100% done yet. It's reasoning, it's on step number 7 because this is doing a true analysis of everything. But while I'm waiting for it, I'm going to actually give it its next step. I want it to create a executive summary to be live updated on a daily basis. Now, I can't run that until it's done with the other one. Come on. Well, let me just see if I can quick run that because it's being a little bit sluggish there for a second. Oops, let me click done on that one. So let me actually jump back into that PowerPoint so you can actually see what did it end up creating. All right, so it's still planning it a little bit, but it should be done here in just a second. And I am finding that it does take a slight bit longer, but I got to tell you, it's worth the wait because it's doing so much more than it ever could before on the way that it's analyzing your information. And keep in mind that it's remembering you. And when I go to create a presentation for a specific purpose, it actually remembers the colors and the tone and the all the different things that I had told it before. So if I had told it I was doing this presentation for something that I'm consistently doing it for, I don't have to repeat it. It's going to tell me, is this what you want me to use? Because it understands that that's what I had done in the past. So it is kind of scary to know that it's thinking that deeply. But anyway, sorry, it's all running just a little bit slow. So I could see in the background that it's done with what I asked it to do. I told it to create that executive summary, etc. So back here in Excel, while I'm waiting for Copilot, sorry about the jumping around. I didn't want to waste time here, but I'm going to go ahead and say done. Now, in the past, it would have given me that executive summary just in the Copilot window. Then I would have had to figure out what to do with it. Look what it did. It created a new sheet called Executive Summary. And look what it did. It gave me the title up at the top. It gave me this live daily view, and it gave me a dashboard. Here's the total sales as of right now. Here's the total units, the total orders, and it's doing all of these formulas for me. It's organizing everything for us. The sum ifs, it's got all the top products by sales. It's got the top salespeople. It's got the latest 7 orders based on dates. So you could see that it's creating everything for me. It even has another chart down at the bottom. If I wanted it to create a chart based on each of the scenarios, I could tell it to do that. Whatever it is that you needed to do, it can automatically do that. And because of the fact that it used all those formulas, if I go back and make changes to the actual worksheet, it's going to go out and make those changes directly as well. So let's say that this is actually 5/1/26 and the price changed to be 26 and we had a quantity of 400, etc. It's automatically updating the executive summary to match. So everything can be automatically set up for you. The old Copilot could definitely not do any of this. It could create a pivot table and put it on a new sheet called Sheet 1. Now it is actually a deeper analysis and it's doing more than it ever could before. It's not just giving you the information and you have to figure it out. It's actually physically doing it. But the thing about this is, let me go back to a different worksheet for a quick second. If I had, I'm going to start a new chat. If I decided I don't want it to use my built-in agent mode, you have to actually turn it off. So on the chat on the right-hand side where it says allow editing, if I don't want it to use agent mode, click on that drop-down arrow and say chat only. Then it's going to do what it used to do. It's still stronger and more smart than it was before, but it's not going to physically make the changes for you. So if I come in and I say, summarize the data on this worksheet, it's not going to physically do the summarization. It's just going to give you that summarization right within that window. So things have definitely improved when it comes to using Copilot in all of your applications. Copilot is becoming more available in other programs as well. We're just kind of talking about the main programs right now, but it is in Microsoft Planner. It is also in Forms. It has strong presence in SharePoint, which has even been improved over the last 3 weeks. Um, there is just so much that Copilot can now do. But Microsoft's year end is July. They are planning to introduce even more than what we just showed you today with Copilot coming out from July to the end of the year. So watch for new things. Like this morning, I woke up and Teams has changed on the way that we are. Let me just, in my last minute here, let me just quick show you this. I want to show you here in Teams what has changed. So I'm in Teams. And if I go to create a new webinar, because I do these every day, I go to create a new webinar, just so you can see, as of today, we have this try new experience. So if you're a Teams user and you're creating webinars and different things, if you choose this try new experience, which will be replaced as a permanent structure within a month or so, you would actually be in the new configuration of all new events. So whether it's going to be, a live, with 10 million people, it all has the same window, and you can even create templates now. You can create a template and save it and reuse it. So just so you know, this was something that just came out this morning. So I haven't investigated enough to take you through everything, but I did create a template real quick this morning just so I could see how all that was going to work. But I got to tell you, there have been so many changes that are for us, the end users. Microsoft's consistency across the board. I love the new floating icon for Copilot so we don't have to switch back to the home tab. Those are just genius things that I don't know who ever thought about them, but I would like to personally thank them at Microsoft. But this PowerPoint, I'm sorry, it's still kind of fixing it, but it'll be done here in a second and I can come back and show you if we still have time. But Macy, I do want to send it back to you and see if there was any questions that anybody had today. I'll get our PowerPoint opened back up here real quick.
Yeah, we do not currently have any questions in the chat. So if anybody has any that they would like to toss in there before we wrap up, go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, while we wait for any questions to come through, just want to thank you guys again for joining us today and for your grace and your patience as we worked through Claude versus Copilot. And we do want to remind you that we will have in the coming weeks a extra Claude session. So be on the lookout. We will send that to you guys directly. Anybody who registered for today's session. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm not seeing any questions come through. Oh,
Okay.
nope. Just somebody said great session. Thank you, Jolynn.
Yeah, thank you. And once again, I'm so sorry about the Claude.
That's okay. This was so great. I was gonna say, and there's it was perfect timing with all the new stuff in
Right.
Copilot. So I'm glad that we were able to do that today.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up since it looks like nobody has any questions. But thank you guys again for joining, and we look forward to you joining us again soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Macy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.